Hey everyone, it's Phoenix. I wanted to do an update video to showcase some of the stuff that I have added to the new version of Srendarr. After a long break, I've actually been working on some add-ons again in time for this new patch, and some cool things on there I'm kind of excited about. So I wanted to just go through them a little bit. First of all, you can see on the screen there have actually finished work on the what was I calling this? The ability cooldown action bar, or cooldown action bar. It's another way of showing your cooldowns. So before you had proc cooldowns, which you could track, and you can actually track them at the same time, but I'm going to turn that off real quick just to kind of show how this works. So as opposed to never seeing the proc cooldowns for the gear you're wearing until they proc, and then just seeing a timer counting down, I've added this new feature where you can actually, any gear that you have on that is a proc set that has a cooldown proc, it will actually show constantly. There's a couple options for it. There is an option to show that animation that you see on there. You don't have to actually show the animation. You can turn it off so they just look like that. But I kind of like the animation, so I went ahead and added that option. And then the other thing is the timers. So when they're not procced, when they're ready, the animation is indicating they're ready to proc. Whatever you do to proc that particular set, but that option will show the cooldown timer on there. So when you do proc those, this is the time that it will take to be ready again. And then once it procs, this will change to a timer, and you'll see it grayed out and counting down back to where you can use it again. So just to show you really quick, I've got a couple sets on here. These are the new sets. I actually also did add support for all the new sets that were added with this patch. So these are a couple of those. So this one you just have to deal direct damage, and this one critical damage. So I'm just smack the dummy a bunch of times and it should proc both of them. Okay, so there's one, and you can see like how it's kind of grayed out and it's counting down till it can be used again. I'm going to keep smacking this until I... What is it that Baron Trisk wants you to do? Oh, area direct damage. Okay, so it wants you to use this. There we go. So there's all kinds of stuff going off right now. The Griffin's Reprisal puts like a dot on it. You can read the effects on the update for the patch with the patch notes, but as those are counting down, you can sort them by ascending or descending. If you sort where they're stacking, it depends on the direction. Right now I have mine stacking. If you go into your options, you can actually change all this stuff. This is just standard Srendarr stuff, but if you go into the bar you've assigned it to, you can change all the settings for the display of that bar. Right now I have mine stacking up, so it starts at the bottom there and then stacks up the more things you add, and then it's sorting by remaining time descending, which makes it so whichever procs are ready are always on the top. But you can set yours up however you want. So that was another cool thing I've added. I did a bunch of work on the gear detection system, and it should eliminate the problem some people were having with some of their gear sets not being detected. Just in case that's still not working, I added a keybind that you can set. Go into your controls and find the Srendarr section for update equip gear sets. So basically, if you set a keybind to that, I think part of the problem is a lot of people are switching their gears all the time with macros, and it might be that lag or combat or something's happening where it's just not catching the update. I haven't been able to duplicate it, but I'm just trying to eliminate as many possibilities. So I've added this where when you do change your gear, if you're seeing a problem where something is not being detected, because it should just automatically, like if I take this off, it should just take a second and then that set's gone away. And then if I put that back on, it should show back up again. I think that's a heavy set. But if for whatever reason that doesn't, you can just hit that keybind and it'll immediately update them. So if for whatever reason something is still not working, that's just one more failsafe where if your gear has changed, hit that keybind button and it should get you going and everything should appear. It's a bunch of other stuff. I'm going to put these patch notes on there. I talked about the Cooldown Action Bar, which is pretty neat. A couple of fixes. Some of the different modes I have placeholders, so instead of, like, for example, 167,442, it would show like 5,167,442, because the millions digit is never used in the game as an ID, but I'm using it as a placeholder for different aura modes behind the scenes, but that won't show up anymore. You'll just see the actual ID that it actually is. So that was fixed. I did some speeding up of functions. I made the function for finding the major and minor auras more efficient by adding a check if they're actually auras that, abilities that exist. I also added a kind of cool new feature. This is not something that anybody but me will probably ever use, but it's a full update mode. So instead of having to update the different types of effects for major and minor auras one at a time, you can just run this. It takes about 5 minutes, but that's not too bad. But it will basically dump all of the major and minor auras that have changed into the save variables. And then you can just update the database, which just kind of makes my life easier. I also added support for a new effect. I guess they added major or minor timidity to the game, so I've actually added support for that in the major minor buffs, which is just if you've assigned major or minor to go to a specific window, it'll only put auras that it knows in those windows. So now it should find all the minor timidity stuff. And oh yeah, and I added support for all the new sets with all the appropriate icons and cooldown tracking and stack tracking. So did a lot of work on getting this updated, and so hopefully you guys enjoy it. I've got some information on the main page if anybody's been keeping up with what I've been going through, but I'm feeling better. I got my crown on my tooth, so that's all good. I am in like massive financial trouble though, so if anyone is able to help, or if anyone knows anybody who's able to help, it would be huge right now. I would really appreciate it, and it will just help me keep on making cool stuff for you guys, which I enjoy doing. So even, when there's not really anything in it for me, I do still enjoy doing it, but boy, it would sure make a lot. It would help a lot if there was, if anybody can actually contribute financially. I know nobody likes to think about the financial side of things, but sometimes you just get in a place where you really are desperate. And there's no easy way to ask for help, like they say in The Mandalorian. And I hate asking for help, but I'm going to go ahead and do it just because. But that's the current update. So let me know if you still have any issues. I will try and iron out any bugs. I'm going to be playing the game off and on whenever time and health and finances and all that allow. I don't really have a subscription right now, but I am actually just kind of hanging out in the game, mostly on the PTS. But I will be checking for any comments if people have problems and trying to iron out any kinks while I'm still around, to make sure I get a stable version at least. But in testing, it's been pretty stable, so make sure you let me know what you think, and have fun in ESO. Talk to you next time.